Okay, so we're looking at the circle, and together, the space inside this circle represents my real knowledge. All that I think I know about whatever I think I know is depicted right here within this circle. I must keep in mind that there is more to know than what is within the circumference of my awareness. And of course, that's Dr. Ray Hagan. You know the deal, everybody. Uncle Jocelyn. I'm trying to also straighten my screen out at the same time. There it is. There you go. My cursor's acting strange. Anyway, Uncle Johnson, they have life, prosperity, and good health. Wish to everybody all the time. And you guys know the routine. We are students of metaphysics. That means we study everything, everything. We study whether the world is real or merely an illusion. It is a fundamental view, meaning rudimentary, basic view of the world in which we live in. We're also spiritual people. I'm going to try to move this out of the way from me again here. Hold give me a second. It didn't move. That's okay. And spirituality involves the recognition or feeling or sense or belief that there is something greater than me, something more to being human than sensory experience, things that we feel and things that we see. And that the greater whole of which we are a part of is cosmic or divine in nature. Key part here saying which we are a part of, which means from the Standard Dictionary, Oxford Language Dictionary, the word divine, number one meaning, from or like God or God. We use the word God because we actually use it because it came with us. It carried down history. We use it under trying to get a better understanding of this word, the all, the universe, the galaxy. People have so many words for it. The Africans actually had no definition for this word. But because we use this three-letter word, it it is something that we're used to hearing. We use it in that context only. And the definition of this thing that we're calling God right now at this moment is a two-letter word, is. And after that two-letter word are three dots, which means anything you say after that is just one more attribute of this thing which we call God, but we cannot define. And so, made in the image of God, we say I am. It is a phrase indicating self-existence, and it is often followed by an adjective or a verb or a description or definition of a person's identity, state, or action. And it can be used as a powerful personal affirmation to build self-esteem and change negative thought patterns. And we must not forget that because we are in control and because the I am is something that you have control over, it can also be used to tear down self-esteem or to think negative thoughts. Understanding that, we take a few minutes in our time, as we always do, to recognize that the inhale and the exhale, between the inhale and the exhale, is actually where this thing, God, that we call exists. While it exists everywhere and anywhere and everywhere, it actually can be defined in between the inhale and the exhale, which is a split second, a fraction of a section, wherein when you stop inhaling, you're no longer here. And so we take a few minutes to recognize this and meditate, take advantage of that portion of time, breathing in the I am, inhaling the I am, and giving it the power that we want to give it, and then getting rid of whatever is not something we want to keep and expelling it back into the atmosphere. So if you will, you can close your eyes, take a couple minutes just to relax, and then Inhale. Inhale the I am, understanding that you are in control and anything you say after the I am is yours. Hold that. Hold that, not like you're under the water, but hold it enough to take everything out of the air you just inhaled. And then now slowly let it go. Exhaling, exhaling, feeling it in your gut. Everything's gone. Repeat that again. Inhale. I am. How? I am. Whatever you feel, own it. It's yours. Hold it inside of you. Take everything out of that medium, that air. And now exhale it. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You don't need it. Let it go. One more time. Inhale. Breathe in the I am, the strength, the confidence. Hold that breath. Take everything out of it. And then finally, again, just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And just breathe. Just breathe. We also take into account, as metaphysical students, vibration. Thought vibration refers to the idea that thoughts and emotions emit vibrations and frequencies similar to sound waves, which can influence our lives and the world around us. Positive thoughts are believed to resonate higher frequencies, while negative thoughts resonate at lower frequencies, bearing in mind that thought is the highest frequencies or vibration known. This concept often linked to the law of attraction, which suggests that like-minded frequencies attract like-minded experiences. And guess who's in control of those like-minded frequencies? From that, we go to a statement that we always have taken into account, and that is whatever you think, because you're in control of what you think. You can't stop thinking, but you can control what you think. You feel. Whatever you feel, you will vibrate. You have no choice because everything is vibrating. Everything is vibrating. And you're generating that vibration with your thought. Your thought's giving you the feel, and as you vibrate it, you will attract whatever that is. What you think you feel, what you feel, you will vibrate. And whatever you vibrate, you will attract. It is a universal law you can't get away from. Own it. Okay. Um, I had, well, I'm going to do this. Tonight we're going to do some more historical research, and again go back into David's online. I'm going to give the mic to him and the screen to him in a minute, and we're going to use the time, if you will, whatever questions you got, hold on to them, and let's talk about this. Let's discuss this when this is through. I think you're going to find it quite interesting. So with that, I'm going to pass the screen on to David. Nysut. Let's see. I'm having trouble with my
Evening family. Uncle Joshua Neb, Uncle and my yacht.
Dua Netaru.
Do I. Um, supposed to do this. I think I'm supposed to do this.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me again. My UCT family, Universal Center of Truth. Thank you. And let me know when you because I sent the request, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. What I'm trying to do now is, for some reason, For some reason, my cursor is not moving. So I see places where it's been, but I don't see it, actually see it. So bear with me a second. Let me figure out what's going on here.
Well, as we do that, what I was thinking for tonight, I was going across some. We do know we're in the age of information right now. We're in the age of information, and we should know that all information is not good. It's so much information out there that we have to develop we have to develop our discernment skills because it's a lot of information out there, a lot of misinformation, a lot of truth mashed in with falseness. A lot of things right now seems like aesthetics or just the way how things are presented is more valuable than actual truth. So we got to be careful on some of the things that we see. So for me to say all of that, I came across a video that I want to share with the family,
Yeah.
and I think I want to go ahead. Did you?
Go ahead. I'm actually
Is it moving?
not yet.
I want to go through the video. I want to kind of dissect it and kind of go through it. I noticed that they actually call this uh, reacting to videos and stuff. I see that's a big thing on these platforms, YouTubes and and TikToks and stuff like that, where people review other people videos and stuff like that, and they say reaction videos. But we know that reaction is not where we want the direction that we want to do. We always want to respond, which helps you to exercise that heart muscle, the ebb. You're only able to respond with the heart. You react a lot of times with just the head. A lot of times it's invoked your reaction on things. So we're going to call this a response to a video, a YouTube video that I came across. I seen something.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm still working on
that,
it.
oh, okay.
It's the actual cursor itself. So I'm not exactly sure why it's doing what it's doing, but just keep going. I got that. All right. So I'm gonna, hmm,
So initially, this video is about, yeah, this video is about Isaiah. It says it's Isaiah video, and Isaiah is a very popular section in the Bible, especially for Christians. Mostly it would be Christians that would look at it in a way that they look at it and would definitely put it with Jesus and set Jesus inside of that seat of Israel, of um Isaiah. But in my opinion, I gotta say that Isaiah is actually the worst source that a Christian could pull out for any kind of evidence or any kind of prolific validity. I think it's the worst source, but Christians think it's the best source.
you should have that permission now.
Let's see. Let's see. Um, okay, wait a minute. Wait,
Yeah, it appears to be coming up.
but I want to make sure that the sound is going to play. Okay. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen?
I see it.
I
I
see it. Everybody see the screen?
I can see it.
All right. So
Wendy, you
what we
okay?
have,
Yes,
Good.
peace, Sister Wendy. How you doing?
doing pretty good. How are y'all?
That's good. We doing good. We doing
Good.
good. We just about to dive into one of these videos I came across. Um uh my thing, like I was saying before, it's Israel. I'm sorry, not Israel, but Isaiah is like the worst source, I think, my opinion. And you can tell by this title of this particular video. Isaiah 61 is happening to black people right now. Most don't see it. That is a they call it clickbait, but that's a grabber right there. Because when you see black people and what's happening with black people, we drawn to that kind of stuff. And this actually the reason why I go so hard on religion, not to disrespect it, especially not to disrespect the people that follow it, but to bring more light and more insight to it so that we could look at it a little bit differently than we have, because how we been looking at it really haven't been working. So we probably need to look at it differently, in my opinion. I came across this and it drew me to it. So this to me is part of our psychosis as a whole, our psychosis as people. I also want to show the views of this is upwards of, which is small in the world of YouTube. I actually have my son is very popular on YouTube, but that's a whole different thing. So as far as the numbers, this is actually very small in numbers, 3 months, but it's significant because 74,000 people watch this. All right, it's got a couple of thumbs up, but I definitely want to see some of the comments and reactions to it. Because again, when we dealing with religion, I gotta want to think that our people are into it for salvation. Our people are into it for um, soul saving and to be able to be in that realm next to what you who you think is the creator. Nobody's nobody's off on that. That's what everybody wants. Every culture wants salvation. So there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to seek our salvation the proper way. And in my opinion, and I'm gonna continue to keep saying that as a disclaimer for myself, in my opinion, I gotta say that Christianity or religion in the box, or let's just say that the Abrahamic religion, period, is not the way for us. Right? But let's just look at some of the comments. This is from the actual guy. Israel 61 is happening for black people right now. You must see it. That's the guy that actually, the people that actually made this video. Uh, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. We heard all these things. We've heard all these things, even if we haven't been uh going through the Bible ourselves. We heard these stories about Isaiah and Jeremiah and all the prolific and prophecies that are put in the Bible for certain people. But here we have into where we are now. We're kind of we're adapting to it as it's ours. And I'm going to show from this video that Isaiah 61 is not, unfortunately and fortunately, is not talking about black people, especially black people in America. But just looking through all these different ones, let's say the book are definitely being open. The books are being definitely open. We are seeing in real time those nations who are willing to acknowledge the wrongdoing done, and those who are not. We will see you. You would not escape judgment. These are your fellow sisters and brothers, and 9 times out of 10, by the content, they're probably 9 times out of 10 Black Israelites, Black, what they would say, Black Hebrew Israelites. You got to
Yeah.
put Israelites in there.
Yeah.
So 9 times, but they're Christians too. Believe it or not. They Christians too. So we still talk about it in that same round. So that's most of the people who's going to be on this giving these claims and stuff and saying these type things. But what I wanted to show was the psychosis, where we at with it. Psychosis being us detached from reality. Why do I say that? Without being disrespectful. Well, I definitely don't want to continue on with being disrespectful. So I don't want to call nobody a liar. I love my brothers and sisters, my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters, Black brothers and sisters. I love my Muslim brothers and sisters, Muslim brothers and sisters, because they too deal with the Bible their way. So I'm not going to call them liars. Let's say maybe being disingenuous. And when we bring up the definition of disingenuous, what does it tell us? It's saying not candid or sincere, typically by pretending that one knows less about something than one really does. And the sentence, I love the sentence that they gave, example. He was being somewhat disingenuous as well as cynical. Cynical being dishonest, void of anybody feelings on when they convey their message or however they can message. So we're not going to call anybody a liar. We're going to say maybe they're being disingenuous. Maybe they don't know something and they're going off of this and misinformation. We're going to say that. But my question to you, and um, this is not for nobody to say out loud, just ask yourself. My question to you is, if this is to save our souls, have salvation and everything, move our people to the right way and everything, should we continue to listen to somebody who might be disingenuous, and not only disingenuous maybe one time, but in multiple times? I don't know. Let's see. We're gonna see if this video is being disingenuous. Not liars. Again, I don't want to disrespect for nobody. You're just gonna say disingenuous. So I'm gonna play this. You let me know from the first couple of seconds if you can hear this. Wait. Okay.
Isaiah 61 is happening to black people right now. Most don't see it.
Do you hear that?
I do hear it. I hear it.
All right. So
Yes.
let's yes. Thank you, family. So let's go ahead and we're gonna start it. And first thing I want to do, wait, let's back it up first, all the way to where he started.
Isaiah 61 is happening to black people right now. Most don't see it.
All right, let's stop it right there. Because right away, that was captivating right there. That's like, wait a minute. Like, that's if you heard that on the on the loudspeaker somewhere, you would stop what you're doing just to hear what they're gonna say. I'm intrigued. I'm interested now. But I want to go through the disclaimer that they gave first. And it says, this content is for educational, inspirational, and spiritual reflection based on biblical interpretation, Isaiah 61, and personal perspectives. Okay. It is aimed to honor identity and restore community faith, not to promote hatred or discrimination. This is not professional, financial, or legal or professional advice. Viewers are encouraged to conduct their own research and exercise personal discernment in the spiritual journey. Good thing we do that here at Universal Center of Truth. That's a good thing we do that, because we're going to exercise our rights to research and kind of look and see what's going on. So that's the first thing. Let's listen to them and see what they saying.
Let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this before you answer. What if there was a prophecy written down thousands of years before you were born that described exactly how God would restore them? And what if that prophecy was not some hidden scroll locked away in a vault somewhere, but was sitting right there in your Bible this whole time? In a chapter you may have heard preached 100 times, but never, not once, heard preached all the way to the end? I need you to stay with me today, because what I am about to show you in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, is going to change the way you see yourself, the way you see your history, and the way you see what God is doing in this very hour. Not last century, not some distant future, right now, in your lifetime, in the headlines you are reading this week. See, most of us know Isaiah 61 because Jesus quoted.
Now, let me stop it real quick. You gotta admit, you gotta be intrigued by now. They're drawing you in. It sounds like it's going to be good. It sounds like this is something that we could put our weight into. But let's see. Like you say, let me back it up a little bit.
The headlines you are reading this week. See, most of us know Isaiah 61 because Jesus quoted it. He stood up in that synagogue in Nazareth, opened the scroll, and read those words. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach good tidings to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives. You have heard that preached. You have heard it sung. But here is what they never told you. Jesus stopped reading in the middle of the prophecy. He rolled that scroll back up and sat down. And the part he did not read, the part that comes after, is the part that is being fulfilled right now in your generation, in your bloodline, in the lives of black people across this nation and across this world. And
Okay. So let's recap on some of that right there. They was Jesus, they mentioned that Jesus went into the synagogue and he recited Isaiah and proclaimed that this is prophecy that he's bringing. But I don't remember we had a discussion about Jesus, about this same very verse, actually saying Isaiah totally wrong and not saying it just wrong, but actually adding to the scripture. Let's see what Isaiah actually says, right? Just before they go on, because remember, are they being disingenuous? Because if they don't mention that Jesus added to the verse and changed it up to fit his narrative, then I don't want to say they lying on this. They might be disingenuous. Let's see what Isaiah 61 say. Isaiah say, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me. He has sent me to bring good news to the oppressed, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and release the prisoners. Okay, well, let's see what Jesus said in Luke 4:16, and see if he says the same thing. It's saying when he came to Nazareth. Okay, this is very important. When he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, he went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day, as was his custom, and it wasn't a Sabbath day also too. But that's a whole different discussion. As was his custom, when stood up to read, and the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was given to him. Listen now. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written. He found the place where it was written. And he said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me. Okay, sound like Isaiah so far. To bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim and release the captives. Okay, pretty good so far. And recover the sight of the blind. Wait a minute. It don't say nothing about blind people and recovering the sight of the blind in Isaiah verses. Did Jesus add that, or did the writers of Luke add that? Were they being disingenuous? So right away, our source, the Bible, which is this video source, the Bible, is telling us two different things. Isaiah said one thing, Jesus is saying another thing in Luke, and he's adding something to it. So we're not going to blame the Bible. What I'm going to do is see if this creator is going to mention that to his people. Because if he don't, would you agree that he's being disingenuous? Let's see.
There is a reason they did not want you to read the rest of that chapter. By the time we are done here today, you are going to see it, line by line, verse by verse. You are going to see how Isaiah 61 maps onto the Black American experience with a precision that will take your breath away. You are going to see the suffering,
Whoa.
yes.
Whoa, did you hear that? It said, you will see a lineup of black people in the prophecy with great precision. With great precision. So that means that they're going to show us something in Isaiah 61 that says black people are going to be stolen from Africa and brought to America and be enslaved for a certain period of time. They're going to, because they said precision, accuracy. I might not verbatim got that right, so I'm going to let them speak on that.
The time we are done here today, you are going to see it, line by line, verse by verse. You are going to see how Isaiah 61 maps onto the Black American experience with a precision that will take your breath away. You are going to see the suffering, yes, but you are also going to see the restoration, the rebuilding, the double portion, the honor that is replacing the shame. And you are going to understand, maybe for the first time, that none of what you are living through is random. It was written down, it was promised, and it is happening. Now let me show you something. I want to walk through Isaiah 61 with you slowly, not the way they rush through it in a Sunday morning sermon, where they read 2 verses and then jump to their 3-point outline and try to get everybody out in time for the 1 o'clock football game. No, I want us to sit with every line, because every line has something to say to you personally. And I have spent decades studying this chapter, turning it over in my mind, praying over it, cross-referencing it, sitting with it in the early morning hours when the house is quiet and the only sound is the coffee pot and the Holy Spirit. And I am...
Whoa, let me back that up one more time. Because he admitted to studying this particular chapter for years, sleeping and waking to it, studying it to every beginning to end. Again, I don't want to say he's lying, because I would think a person who studied this for years would know certain things. I'm gonna just say he's being disingenuous, but let's see what he said again.
Something to say to you personally. And I have spent decades studying this chapter, turning it over in my mind, praying over it, cross-referencing it, sitting with it in the early morning hours when the house is quiet and the only sound is the coffee pot and the Holy Spirit. And I am telling you, the more you look at this chapter, the more it looks back at you. Let us begin at the beginning. Verse 1. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach good tidings to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Now most people hear that and they think of Jesus in the synagogue, and they should, because in Luke chapter 4 verse 18, Jesus stood up in his hometown of Nazareth and read these exact words. And then in verse...
Uh-oh. Did he just say that Jesus sat up in the synagogue and said these same exact words? I didn't hear him say anything about when he read Isaiah, because keep in mind, he's only reading Isaiah part. He never, ever, throughout this whole thing, reads Luke part, which would be what Jesus said. He's constantly reading Isaiah part. He literally just said that Jesus said the same exact thing.
And the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Now most people hear that and they think of Jesus in the synagogue, and they should, because in Luke chapter 4 verse 18, Jesus stood up in his hometown of Nazareth and read these exact words. And then in verse 21, he said something extraordinary.
Uh-oh. We got to strike that up as being maybe not a lie, but being disingenuous because he's not mentioning anything about Jesus adding recover to the blind to fit a narrative that he had going. When we talk about Isaiah way back then, he didn't mention anything about recovery of blindness. One thing we have to know, first of all, when the Old Testament talks about a Messiah, this is information for everybody that don't know. When the Old Testament is talking about a Messiah, it's certain things that the Messiah have to do. He have to rebuke other nations. It's certain things he have to do. But one of the things he do not do is miracles. You will never ever see the description of the Messiah in the Old Testament say anything about doing miracles, recovering sight to the blind, walking on water, no supernatural stuff. This guy was supposed to come and help to restore Israel and fulfill the real covenant, which is restore Israel, have a new Jerusalem, and have the laws in everybody's hearts. That's the covenant. But it has nothing to do with recovering the sight, feeding the masses with a loaf of bread and fish, walking on water. None of that. All of that is some other stuff. That don't have nothing to do with what Isaiah was talking about. So we have to know that, first of all. But I think he's being disingenuous because he didn't mention anything about the blindness. So let's carry on and see what else he not going to mention, because that's definitely being, I want to see he's lying. Also, too, I do want to mention that this is AI generated for aesthetic reasons. If you notice, the voice is to me, sound European to me. I guess they figure black people will listen to white man. Also, too, the artwork is incredible. I love it. I love the cartoons. The brothers with the locks and sisters walking around fully clothed, and I love it. I don't see too many fair-skinned people, not too many. I love it. But again, they mix in aesthetics and they mix in beauty with falsehood. Because if you don't tell the people right away that he added something to that and he totally twisted up the translation of what Isaiah said, and that's being disingenuous. Let's continue on.
He said, "This day is this scripture fulfilled in your ears." He was declaring himself to be the anointed one that Isaiah was talking about. And that is true. That is foundational to our faith. But I need you to hear what I am about to say next, because
very important. I'm going to repeat that. Let him repeat that one more time. This is foundational to our faith. So if it's not true, what do we do with the faith? I'm going to let him say it again.
He said, "This day is this scripture fulfilled in your ears." He was declaring himself to be the anointed one that Isaiah was talking about. And that is true. That is foundational to our faith. But I need you to hear what I am about to say next, because this is where the teaching usually stops, and this is where we are going to keep going. When Jesus read Isaiah 61, he was announcing the beginning of a prophetic fulfillment that would unfold across generations. He was not saying that everything in this chapter was completed in that single moment, in that single synagogue. He was opening a door, and what has been walking through that door century after century is the story of a people who were poor, who were brokenhearted, who were captive, who were bound, and who God promised to set free. Not just spiritually free, not just free in their hearts while their bodies remained in chains. Free. Now let me ask you something, and I want you to answer it honestly in your spirit. When you read the words liberty to the captives and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, who comes to mind? What people on this earth have experienced captivity, literal captivity, chains on their wrists and ankles for centuries. What people have been bound, not just physically but legally, economically, socially, generationally. What people have been told over and over again, that they are free while every system around them kept them in a prison they could not see. You already know the answer. You feel it in your bones. The transatlantic slave trade took millions of African people and put them in literal chains. For 246 years, black people in America were held as property, not as second-class citizens, as property. They were captives in every sense of the word that Isaiah used. And when
The Bible mention America? Did the Bible mention anybody being stolen from Africa and being sent to America, and not just America, by the way, different other places, but America specifically, especially in content of this video? Because I remember in the beginning of this video that it said that it would have precision. Ooh, I wish I would have wrote that down. That was, I mean, it was beautiful words. Precision connection to black people in America. I would think that the Bible probably would have named America, and it probably would have named Africa, but it didn't. So him saying precision, connection, and all that is being disingenuous. It sounds like a very good salesperson. He's selling something, selling something to the people more so than actually giving you truth. Because yes, this would be a good story if Isaiah was actually talking about a prophecy somewhat 15 to 2000 years later. But Isaiah was talking about something that actually already happened. And the prophecy was the restoring, the aftermath of what happened. In order to really understand the story, especially about Isaiah, you would have to know about the Babylonian captivity or exile. That's explained, first of all, a lot of people don't even know that Isaiah is split up in two books, two different two stories, baby, two books. You got first Isaiah, you got second Isaiah. Why is that? Why do they have first Isaiah, second Isaiah? Well, because between first Isaiah and second Isaiah is 200 years apart. So either we're saying that Isaiah wrote the first part of Isaiah and lived for more than 300 years and wrote the second part, or there were some other writers that might have put their own input into it too. Now, just off of that information, knowing that it's 200 years apart, we have to know that the first part of Isaiah, which would start from chapter 1 to about 39, chapter 1 to 39, it explains about basically about judgment to Israel. Uh, Lots of things happen, this and stuff happened, and God is basically telling them that you're about to go through some turmoil. So by the end of you get to 39, when 40 starts, which is 200 years later, we in between that 200 years, it had already been about 100 years of Babylonian uh captivity. And before that was the Assyrians. But in the Babylonian part, after the Babylonian exile, after being captive and held under their own release. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. 1 second, 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Right, so that's we need to know that. We need to know that it Isaiah wasn't talking about America. He wasn't talking about 2,000 years in the future. He was talking about something that already happened, that they already went through. Because when chapter 40 start, between 40 and I believe 42, 43, he's pretty much telling the people to come back home. Your sins been forgiven. You done did what you had to do. God's forgiven. Come back home. And he's trying to get them to be refreshing, Jerusalem to be new again. It has nothing to do with black people in the slave trade, unfortunately and fortunately. This again is us trying to conflate ourselves into something that has nothing to do with us. And we wonder why we're last on the list right now. It's because we're giving all of our power to somebody else's existence. This has nothing to do with us. Absolutely none. I want somebody to tell me, when they was coming on the ships from Africa, how many of those people on there spoke Hebrew? Think about that. I want to tell you, probably none. We got to think about that. So what Israelites was being shipped from Africa during that time. So again, if this guy doesn't mention in the next 5 minutes, because I'm gonna just give it 5 more minutes, about the Babylonian captivity, and he continued to keep pushing the narrative as if this is a prophecy for 2,000 years later, the slave trade, black people in America, you and I gotta say, he's not lying, he's being disingenuous. And if that's the case, that's going to be the third disingenuous act. And I'm sorry, y'all, but this video is like an hour, and I will not waste my time to listen to it no more, because that's not my yacht. I would not waste my time to listen to disingenuous acts. That is the African way to think logically. So 5 more minutes. Let's see. Babylonian captivity. Hopefully he says this.
When emancipation came in 1865, did the prison truly open? Jim Crow laws built a new prison. Segregation built a new prison. Redlining built a new prison with boundaries drawn on maps in red ink. Mass incarceration built a new prison that was in many cases a literal prison with literal bars. Convict leasing turned formerly enslaved people right back into forced laborers. Each generation faced a different cage, a different version of the same ancient oppression, and the broken-hearted kept having their hearts broken again and again and again. But Isaiah did not just describe the suffering. That is the part they do not emphasize. Isaiah described the deliverance. He described the anointing that would come to preach good tidings to those poor, broken, captive people. And here is where I need you to lean in, because this is the key that unlocks everything else we are going to discuss today. That anointing was not a one-time event. It was not just for the people sitting in that synagogue in Nazareth 2,000 years ago. Prophecy, beloved, unfolds in layers. There is often an immediate fulfillment and a greater fulfillment. The
Oh, so it must be dual prophecy? That means that. Okay.
immediate fulfillment of Isaiah 61 was Jesus declaring his ministry. But the greater fulfillment is what God is doing right now in this generation with the very people who fit this description most perfectly. Verse 2 says, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn. Now this is critically important, and I do not want you to miss this detail. Jesus, when he read this passage in Luke 4, stopped right in the middle of this verse. He read to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, a comma, and then he closed the book. He did not read the day of vengeance of our God. He did not read to comfort all that mourn. He stopped mid-sentence. He put a period where Isaiah had put a comma. Why? Because the day of vengeance was not for his time. That part of the prophecy was reserved for a later season, a season of reckoning, a season of rebalancing, a season when God would turn his attention to those who had mourned the longest and comfort them with a comfort that would make up for everything they had endured. Verse 3, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil.
Uh-oh, did he say Zion? I I was really hoping and I was rooting for them to say America. Do anybody know what Zion is? You have to answer. Zion is in Jerusalem, Israel. It's not America. So that's the third strike right there. Disingenuous. It's no need to, for me, it's no need to go on with this. It's going to be fluff and they're going to be pulling on your heartstrings, I'm sure. They're going to tell you stuff about somebody who died, Michael Brown and this and that, and see how they're doing this and that. They're going to pull on your heartstrings. But the crux of this was being disingenuous. And so I can't listen to this. That's not my yacht. That's actually is fed. Confusion, chaos. So that's it for me because I don't want to push it too long. Isaiah is very, very heavy. And maybe one day I'll come and explain the whole book of Isaiah, especially Isaiah 53, what a lot of Christians like to use to say that is talking about Jesus. So that is it for me. Any questions on that? Uh when we put this video out, we'll have the link to this video. I advise maybe go look at it. Look at the end of it. Take your Bibles and your notes and everything and go through it. Give the people the views. Why not, right? We contribute. But again, 74,000 people watched it. I want to tell you 90% of those are following the carpet ride on this story right here. And they just riding the carpet ride right now. They're in fantasy world. They're in crazy town. That, I don't want to call them crazy. But if there's any questions, I'm done with that. We'll put the link on there. Okay. No questions. That's
And
good too.
you said it was two books of Isaiah?
Yeah, it's okay. Well, what it is, it's cut up in two sections. Some scholars would actually say three, but let's just to keep it simple, it's cut up in two sections. You got between 1 to 39, which is judgment, and it's gonna have judgment in there. It's gonna have this Assyrian invasion and captivity, and they're gonna have the Babylonian uh captivity, basically at the end of that. And then the second Isaiah, which is 200 years apart, Wendy, Sister Wendy. When the second Isaiah come, Isaiah would have been dead about 150 years now. Um, that's going to start from chapter 40 to 66. A lot of people don't know that is 200 years between the two. When you hear Isaiah, you thinking he wrote the whole thing, and maybe he did. Maybe he did live for 200-300 years. But yeah. So you have two. Some scholars will tell you three. They'll chop it up in three. I like to keep it simple. Isaiah 1, Isaiah 2. Second, what it'll be is first Isaiah and second Isaiah. And second Isaiah will be the part of where Christians would say that that's the prophecy of Jesus coming, his transgression and iniquity of sins and pierced hands and all that good stuff. But it's not talking about Jesus. Hopefully that answered your question, sister.
Yes. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Go ahead, Sister Chris.
If is it possible that based on, if you believe that the theory that I forgot what they call it, where all the continents fit together like were once like larger and they can fit together like a puzzle. I always forget what that's called, but I reference it all the time. Is it possible that Africa as we know it today was larger than it is now and maybe, you know, a larger continent? So in
Yes.
some of these
Mhm.
others. So it's not called, it may not have been like referencing it as America, but if it was once a part of what is now Africa, then it could be like the same land, but it's not referencing it the same way. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I'm with you. That I think I kind of get your question because you was kind of it was a little distorted, but I think I got it. You were saying at one time, yeah, the Earth was a little bit more closer, basically, and Africa was much bigger, much bigger. It actually did. Well, we always where they fighting Iran and all that. That was all Africa. You know what I would say. So I'm with you on that. Don't get me wrong. It's Go ahead.
Not just Middle East, what they call now the Middle East, but if there was like the shift in tectonic plates and the continent is separated, at one point they were together. I wish I could think of the name of the term.
Well, you have it's a couple it's two of them. I can't think of the first one, but the last one was Pangea. The
Right.
last one was yeah. Right.
So if that is the case, because we were saying that Africa was not, they didn't reference America, but you know America is a new word. And if at one time Africa was bigger than it is now, then what we know now as America or one of these other continents could have been a part of what was referenced as Africa at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Okay. So it's two things with that. Yeah, Africa was much bigger. All that landmass would have been fairly all one. But when Pangea happened, ooh, that's going to be some time. If I remember, I don't want to. I might have to look. I want to tell you that would have been before all this. I gotta look. I don't want to speak, but the problem we have with that is the wording, and I'm gonna use his words. This person created his words. Precision, like literally you would see. So I would think with those kind of words, precision, connection, that it would have said America. You even have some people that say that Egypt, that America is the new Egypt, basically. So that kind of now you could connect it and say, well, now okay, America is Egypt, but are we being literal sometimes? And in others we just being kind of figurative, kind of you kind of see that's the problem with that. The length, the furtherness of that place over there in Africa and America that nobody didn't even know nothing about, by the way. Uh but I do see what you are saying, don't get me wrong. And I'm with that to a certain point because again, when we look at the Bible, where do we have the actual discernment to say that this part is literal and I need to take this literal and that this part is not literal, that there's some kind of secondhand message behind this. You see what I'm saying? Where
But
do we
at the same
mm,
time, you know, you have what they are pyramids here in the United States. So I was watching, I'm sure I can find it, but I was watching a video of what they say is a pyramid or was a pyramid in Louisiana. And there's another one I want to say is in like Oklahoma. But I was
Yeah,
driving when I was listening to it, but it does look
yeah.
like it was a pyramid. So, you know, if that is the case, then that like gives you some, notion that maybe it's there because it was once a part of what is now today Africa.
That's definitely one way to look at it. Again, with I would add historical elements to that and put it together. Stuff like the so-called pyramids. Uh, they more so kind of looking now. If you kind of look at deep into the research, they calling them more mounds than pyramids. I know a lot of people do want to equate it to the pyramids, but even still, those particular mounds or pyramids is nothing compared to the pyramids that they would actually call pyramids. So that would already let you know it's a different culture, different kind of architect, different kind of stuff going on now. Um, but I've definitely heard that I actually have research on those spots, what they call the pyramids. I
Mm-hmm.
would say, I would just say kind of look into that a little bit more because now a lot of scholars are looking at those as mounds. But again, I could understand trying to. I'm not saying you, Sister Chris, of course, but I can understand trying to connect to something that you think is going to be good for you. I understand that, and I understand trying to find every element inside of it to make sure that you really do have a part of it. What I'm saying is, even off of that, Chris, what you saying with that, right? Was Isaiah talking about America? You see what I'm saying? You got to look at it because Isaiah again at the time was talking about the aftermath of the Babylonian captivity. Well, he was talking about the captives. He was talking about a people of being shamed and this and that. They went through that. And what he was saying was, what's going to happen now that you done paid for your sins? We can restore this place. You see what I'm saying? So he wasn't talking about America. Maybe now check this out, Chris. This is how deep it get. Maybe, and I give it this much room. I'll be a little generous. Maybe the writer of Luke might have been talking about maybe not America, but other places other than Israel, Jerusalem, because Isaiah was talking about Zion, and Zion is in Jerusalem. You see what I'm saying, Chris? We got to look at it. We got to really look at it and say, okay, should I take it literal and think that Egypt, America is Egypt, and this and that, or this and that, or which part do I do? When you look at it and you look at what Isaiah said on that first part of First Isaiah, and then come back and look at Second Isaiah, he was talking about what had just happened, how they able to now come back home and stuff like that. So maybe I say that the writer of Luke might have said. I even say America. I even give the word. I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt America. But for sure, what the writer of Luke was doing was trying to include everybody. This is why Jesus came on the scene. But before that, no, Israel, Isaiah was talking about his own people. And we're not those people. We not.
Mhm. I get you.
What did you say, Chris?
Speculating.
Oh, you say speculating?
Yeah, just speculating. I hadn't even heard that they were trying to say this was from New Egypt, but maybe they're trying to create one now.
Yeah. That's the higher ups, your powers that be that's trying to create but see, this is the thing. I don't want nobody to think we should never think that uh I'm got my air quotes up. Egypt was an evil place. It might have been usurped the throne, and some twisted things happened later on when the different people, the Persians came in and the different. But at one time, again, Mayat was your moral compass. Mayat was the system of the people. And I like to say that they was so focused that they was able to build temples and stuff like that. Even way before like Giza and all that. We got 200 pyramids in Nubia in you know modern Sudan. So we talking about a science that's been cultivated for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. You see? Whereas this particular culture that we're looking into now only been around, they haven't been around that long. We have to weigh it. We always need to put our existence on the scale. And for me, when I look at it, is no way in the world that I would give up the lushness, the liveliness, the the the, the being the progenitors of society. When we talk about just Kemet or Egypt, we talk about a society, a civilization of 3,000 years. We in America and they only celebrating 250 years of you see what I'm saying? Like, if I had to weigh that, I'm not.
Right.
But again, it's about know thyself and what makes you comfortable. And even if this, that particular culture makes you comfortable, I would just say learn all angles of that culture and know what should be taken literal and what should be taken as just a teaching point. And you'll be able to navigate much better with it. You'll be able to use it and utilize it like it need to be used. It's wisdom in the Bible. It's wisdom in the Quran. It's wisdom in, it's wisdom in all of that. But if we're gonna take things literal, like for example, and then because I don't want to push it too far. I I don't follow everything in the comedic. Some things that I look and say, whoa, I don't know about that. But this is the thing. When it comes to Nile Valley civilization, spirituality, you have options. When you come to African spiritualization, you could pick your culture. It's nothing, you pick your culture, what's gonna fit for you. But when you dealing with Abrahamic religion, that box, it's only one way. My dad brings up this verse that I use for now on. Romans, my dad know it, but Romans 9:18. It's not on you, basically. It's all on God. What choices do you have in that box? But in even in comedic spirituality, you're not pinned to doing everything. It's some things you gonna it's not for you. Um, again, and I'll leave it like this, and I'm done. I feel like the Bible is not timeless. I feel it's of its time. So if it's of its time and not timeless, how much weight we want to put on that to save my salvation? And you making me do this stuff, and like I gotta do this stuff. Trust me, man. If for all these people that follow this stuff, 99% of people is not going to heaven. Just not. Because it's not about your works.
Yeah.
So it's deep, man. It's really deep. So Dad, how much time Dad must have walked away?
I have one question.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
have you ever heard where the golf courts are at? Those are actual um pyramids up under those mounds.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that, Sister Whitney, but I would say this. We got this thing that we say a creed. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Always remember that, a creed. Extraordinary claims
Mm-hmm.
require extraordinary evidence. I would tell you, and whoever told you or whatever, whoever said or whatever, to say, what's your source? Could you show me what's your source of that? Or are we just regurgitating what we heard? Because I tell you from my research, because I researched that very well too, because see, my concern, Sister Wendy, is my people, our people. I have full love for my people. So I don't only just deal with the Bible, I actually deal with us black people saying that we are Native Indians. So I've been through the talking points about the mounds and the pyramids and that the golf thing is new. I haven't heard that, but I could see that being thrown in there too because it's humps, it's humps over there too. I mean, but from my research, honestly, um, I would have to say I would need to see the source of that because I would lean more towards that being hyperbole also. But again, that's my opinion. That's on my studies. If anybody actually have the source, I would be more than happy to go over it with them, and we could go back and forth with sources, and we could deal with it like that. But I wish you could see my face now. I'm smiling. Mm, It wouldn't surprise me though, because because the pale skin put their golf course on. It wasn't surprise. It probably wasn't surprise. The pale skin destroys anything that's sacred, anything. So anyway, so
Mhm.
I don't know. But a creed. Always remember that, sister. Always a creed. Extraordinary extraordinary claims requires extraordinary evidence.
Okay, thank
But I
you.
am I am gonna look into that though. I'm interested.
Okay.
Anything else we want to talk about on the next because I think my dad might have walked away or maybe his thing might
Well,
have
I'm on mute, but I've been here the whole time.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. You had any questions, Dad? We could close it now. If anybody else,
No, and the only thing I would say about the whole thing is there are those who, and I was talking to Rosie just the other day, people who say the Bible said it and I believe it. And the question always came up, who wrote the Bible? And then people say, well, God didn't necessarily do it with his hand. Or God, however you want to pertain to call it, would inspired people, or the book was inspired by God. Well, if it was inspired by God, and this is just to throw out something to think about, then what God would inspire confusion and discrepancies and inaccurate history and a variety of unjust acts? Just in Isaiah and Luke today, you looked at discrepancies. You want to call them disingenuous rather than something else. But here is a book that, again, I always say due diligence is probably the best thing you could do. And in the video, it was interesting because I think there may have been a subliminal thing going on with the video because the voice is Anglo. That's not a black person at all.
right,
So when you listen to it, there's some stuff going on there. Not only would it try to relate what was in those two books, Isaiah and Luke, I mean Isaiah more than anything else in the video,
right,
to
right. That's right.
to history, because you can do that with the Bible. You actually can do that with the Bible. And what concerned me about it pretty much was 74,000 people viewed it. And of the 74,000, 3.8 said, yeah, thumbs up. But if you'll notice, there's not one thumbs down on that whole thing. And of the belief of whatever it is they're talking about, 32,000 people have subscriptions. So I'm back to what I said before. When you talk about stuff, um, don't take anybody's word for it. Do your due diligence. Ask questions. Read other books, like you said you do. It will lead you to actually ask questions that as Christians you're not supposed to ask. So I too, if that video is an hour long, I wouldn't look at it. But it may be worth it to see just how far somebody would go to to put an
Push the
impression on
narrative.
people.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, just to put an impression on people. This is what we got to do going forward because a lot of misinformation is going to come out. And a lot of people are going to take it, especially if we refer to the Bible, to that statement. The Bible said it, I believe it. And there's two contradictions we talked about today, or more than two. You talked about a few between these two books. So I don't want to call it, I will. The Bible's fictional history. It's a fictional novel with history. History is
Yes.
implanted. It's implanted
Yes.
in certain places, and certain places have true locations and all that. But there's a lot of fictionalized story going on. And if you look at it as a good novel, it becomes a great book. But when you want to look up what's actually happening as far as factual stuff, you got to do some research. You have to go back to some books written before the book was written, this book was written, and then come up with enough data that this would either stand up against or be broken down. So I thought it was interesting, but again, due diligence is really, really, it's in the books. As our ancestors said, the handwriting's on the wall, and they said that for a reason. It's on the wall. So yeah, I I agree with all that was said. It's interesting stuff, actually. What time
Yeah.
is it?
And also too, real quick, it's for us to have in our bag of artillery when people come to you with that, and you give them the facts of it and make them have to answer for it, and when they can't answer for it, to now come after them and say, now what do we do now? Now we got over the fantasy stuff. What do we do about our problem now?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's it. Just trying to arm ourselves.
That's right.
We trying.
And it's interesting because we laugh. We're old enough to remember the old Batman, not the new guy. The new guy's got all kind of different stuff going on, but the old Batman did have a utility belt, and in the utility belt he
Yes.
had it was small and it fit around his waist. But every time something jumped off, he had something in his utility belt that he would use to get him out of a situation. So this is where we are. This is how we got to do things, and this is how we got to actually approach it. You got to have it in your utility belt, and you only use it when the situation comes up. Don't just throw it out there. Use it only when it comes up. So with that, I mean, anybody else, anything to add? Let's see if I can share my screen again and go back. I have something that I would like to take a couple minutes to go over, just a couple of minutes. And then bear with me on this. Um, yeah. Bear with me on this one. Yeah. Bear with me on this because let's talk about this for a minute. It says 2 minutes. Hear this out and let's talk about it. I did the wrong thing. Um, there you go.
We need to eat more fruits and vegetables. And that's especially true for our kids. But we also know that they're grown with pesticides. In fact, a new study found that about 3/4 of non-organic produce still had pesticide residues even after washing. We learned 3 key facts to keep in mind. Some fruits and vegetables carry more pesticides than others.
Strawberries have sort of been at the top of the list for a little while.
That list comes from the Environmental Working Group, which each year uses data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture to figure out which non-organic fresh fruits and veggies have the most pesticide residue left after a quick wash.
A lot of these are very tender fruits and vegetables that don't have a hard casing that you might peel. And they also are very close to the ground or in other ways need a lot of pesticides in order to be grown properly.
Sandy Lamott is a longtime food and nutrition writer for CNN.
Studies have shown that pesticides have been linked to heart disease, cancer. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Sandy points out that children's little bodies can be especially vulnerable as they're soaking up nutrients for growth and brain development. I'd love to buy my kids all organic, but that's expensive. So there is a more affordable way to think about it.
First, consider what your family enjoys eating. Then compare that to fruits and vegetables that are high in pesticides. You might want to choose organic for just those. I think consumer desire for organic has been driving the market to provide more and more organic choices, and that might mean, in some cases, that there is a lowering of prices.
The EWG also lists the produce with the least pesticide residue.
Looking at the Clean 15, which have nearly 60% of samples with no detectable residues, is a way for consumers to balance that, getting a lot of fruits and vegetables in their diet without compromising on pesticide exposure.
No matter what, wash, wash, wash. It doesn't get rid of all the residue, but it helps if you do it right. EWG's Alexis Temkin said special washes have not been shown to help. And even if you got something with a peel, you should still wash it.
So, a banana or a mango or a lemon, it's a good thing to wash that before because there can also be bacterial contamination on the outside of these fruits and vegetables that, if you cut into it, can get on either the inside of the fruit or vegetable or the knife.
Here's how you do it. Wash the fruit or vegetable under running water for 15 to 20 seconds. RNG's glad you're watching this. You can also soak them in water, but be sure to lift the fruit or veggie up out of the water instead of dumping it all back in together.
Here's a safety tip everybody forgets. Wash your own hands before you wash your produce.
Okay. I'm going to send, there's a slide there because of time. I didn't stop it. There were a couple things they said that were actually good, and then there's a list of things that are not so highly contaminated, if you will. And I think, let me see if I can do this. I want to go through this real fast. Leafy greens such as spinach, kale, perennial kids such as strawberries, grapes held the highest level. But the point I wanted to get to this is farther down here. There's something called forever chemicals. Let me see if I can slide down. I want to just go through this real quick. And they're called forever for a reason. If I can get there, we can just stop. There you go, forever chemicals in our food. For the first time, the report found that 60% of all dirty dozen samples contain pesticides that are also forever chemicals called PFASs. The top three were frequently detected pesticides on produce where these things were substances. And so they're called forever because the molecular bonds can take years to decades, 10 years, 10-ish years, even centuries to completely break down in the environment. This is a serious thing, to be honest with you. So I wanted to just, and I will take the two, one was a list of things that had the least amount that they did the study on. And the other thing was the one that were most contaminated. But just about 3 weeks ago, they call them the dirty dozen because there were 12 pesticides that they were using. Just a couple of weeks ago, the Food and Drug Administration allowed them to add three more things to that list. So the dozen is now 15. And so they covered for the people doing this stuff and not for you and me. But now they can sell them, and now they don't actually don't have to tell you that they're there. So I just wanted to make people aware of the fact that this is going on. They mentioned organic. It's a good idea maybe to go organic as often as you can, but even when you do that, you still need to wash their stuff. And we actually use vinegar here and wash everything. We wash everything. We don't even eat meat unless we boil it in vinegar first. But it's interesting, but I want to bring that up because this is where we are, people. We're in a country where if you ate a salad, you could get in trouble. Something that's actually good for you, supposedly good for you. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I just made a note. I'll put it in I'll text it. Let me write that to myself. The two lists of things that are highly contaminated with these um, forever chemicals, and then a list of things that are least likely to be on that list. So I will send that out, but I just wanted to do that because it's important. It's as important as anything else that we're doing to take a close look at this. Okay. And with that, I'm here. Wanted to bring this up. Here's our site, real quick. Let me do this. There is our YouTube channel. As of tonight, sometime we'll actually put this video on the YouTube channel, so that people will know, or you will be able to pull up the video. Those who were not able to be on the call tonight. And then one other last thing I wanted to put here. Let's see if I got that too. There it is. Cool. I'm going to put this on the screen just for a quick second because it'll be on the video also. We're open on Tuesday, 7 o'clock. This is the actual Zoom meeting that we go by, the meeting ID and the password. So I'll leave it up for just a few seconds and then we can go from there. But this is all that I have, and I think we're a little bit over. So with time, let's see if I can get back to this thing. Let's see if it'll let me do it. Aha, it did. Pay attention to this. This is the last version, the latest version of this thing. And we've gone to our prayer protection where we actually give credit to our ancestors for what we've got. And it is personal. So you can say it to yourself. You can say it with me as we do it. But let's do our prayer protection via our ancestors. The light of ancestors surrounds me. The love of ancestors enfold me. The power of ancestors protect me. And the presence of ancestors watches over me. Wherever I am, ancestors are too. There you go. You know the deal, everybody. Uncle Justin Ebb, thanks again. Thanks for everything. We keep learning.
Very good. Very good.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Alrighty. Good night.
Good night.